Uh, Today we will see about the packaging of Python. For example, we have developed different Python applications over here, starting from the samples and different NumPy, Pandas, and something like data analytics, audio capture, and audio demo, and OpenCV, and different kind of applications we have developed. If suppose we wanted to package and release onto the different user, how can we do that? That we will see over here with the help of the packaging over here. The basically the packaging is done with the help of a PyInstaller is the one which provides a packaging mechanism for an Python, and which something like it's basically PyInstaller is the one which reads that Python scripts or Python program uh, completely, and it analyzes for a module and library needed in order to execute that particular code, and and it does all the copies. It's something like it basically collects all the copies of the files including the Python interpreter, and put them into a single, either into a single folder or in a single executable format that it generates. Basically the simple use cases are something like a PyInstaller myscript.py, and we can use PyInstaller one file and myscript over here. Now we will see how can we create with this over here. I'm going to uh, create a simple program with something like a new Python file, which is something like hello input.py over here. Inside that, I'm going to do print enter the password over here, and pwd equals input, and then we are going to print something like entered value is dot format of pwd over here. This is the file that we are going to use, a hello input.py, and in order to use that PyInstaller, we need to add that and install in using the pip3. For example, I'm going to install pip3 install PyInstaller, which basically installs the PyInstaller package into the Python dependent into that libraries of current Python interpreter that it installs basically. Since I have installed already, it provides already satisfied. Else it will download and install from the net basically over here. Now we did something like we have done the hello input.py over here, and I'm going to execute this in a command prompt over here with the help of command. My file is present over here, C colon Navy, and then we have PyCharm projects, and we have the Python program. Inside that we have the different files over here, and maybe I'm going to create something like the separate one, maybe mkdir a test over here, and I'm going to copy this hello input into the test over here. Maybe I'm going to do copy hello input.py into test. Yeah. Now we have the option, we have that the file called hello input.py, which is present inside this test folder, I'm going to run something like a py installer hyphen. We have the option to create, maybe we will see, first we will see a one file and then we will see as a one directory like that. That we will see over here. I'm going to give the option py-installer one file and then the file is something like a hello input.py, which I am going to convert into the exe, which is an executable format that I'm going to with the help of py-installer over here. Now I'm going to execute this command py-installer one file and hello input.py. This basically converts that all the things Python interpreter and dependency libraries and the program and everything into a single file, and it basically generates that complete things as a single file over here, that we can able to see that the file is created inside the test dist hello input.exe. Maybe we can go into that location, and I'm going to that location over here, PyCharm and Python program, and we have the folder test. Inside that we have the hello input, and inside that dist we got the program over here, hello input, which whenever we run this program, it's a single executable file which I'm running is over here. Yeah, this basically runs that the hello input dot Python file as a exe, which runs over here. I'm going to enter the password. Maybe I'm going to enter the Hariharan over here. Yeah, Hariharan over here. Once I entered uh, the complete things get closed, because of that we have the option something this something like after printing the complete program got executed. Because of that this print is not coming over here. Maybe something we can do that um, I'm going to add another one over here, something like exit equals input over here, and if exit maybe I'm going to do while true, I'm going to get the exit, and if exit equals q, then I'm going to do the break over here, so that this will get out of the loop, otherwise the loop continues over here. Now I'm going to copy this hello input.py into the test cd copy hello input. Yes, one file copied, and I'm going to run this the py-installer one file hello input.py, which basically going to generate an output file, one single exe it is going to generate from the Python over here. Yeah, this basically generated the output inside the dist and then hello input.exe, and maybe we can run this. Now I'm going to run this exe directly over here, and if suppose we wanted to share our application to others without sharing the Python code, we can create a packaging and we can share this code to um, uh, we can share this code, share this application for with the different we can basically this is something a kind of instead of releasing a source, we are going to release that particular Python application as a exe file that we are creating that exe with the help of PyInstaller, and we are generating the exe, and exe can be shared with multiple peoples so that they does not know what is going to be run inside that exe over here. And I'm going to enter Hariharan over here, and which provides something like a entered value is Hariharan, and maybe we can type F. It's something like till it reaches we enter Q, the program will not exit. I'm going to do that Q with the exit over here. This basically provides an information something like how can we create an package of something like exe that it can be created from the Python file. We can use something like for example, in order to use that the Python, we might have installed multiple modules, and that modules will be imported into our system and in our Python file, and that will be created with the complete Python application. And that particular application can be created into exe, and exe can be shared with and exe can be shared with anyone, or it can be released to anyone like a normal Windows application over here. It's something like we have used that hello input.py, and we got generated the output exe in the form of hello input.exe over here. Whenever we see that Python properties, we have this is a hello input.exe. It does not have any information about the source. If suppose we are releasing the Python file directly, it's something like we are releasing as a source over here. Instead of that, if suppose we wanted to do that secured, and the code should not be shared with anyone, and it should be a exe, and they should not know what it is contains, all those things basically that we can able to create with the PyInstaller over here. And basically that this hello input contains everything it needed to run. For example, a Python interpreter, and if suppose we have used different modules, all the modules will be added into this exe so that it can be run as a standalone application in any of the machines over uh, over there. Yeah. Without the installation of Python, or without the installation of the respective module dependency, all those things does not require. Basically, all the modules, all the Python interpreter will be get copied into this single file of exe, so that it can be run as a single file in any of the uh, system without installing the Python interpreter into that system. Basically, it will be like a very simple standalone application. It can be executed over there. Yeah. Is it fine? Yeah. And we have the option something like this creates that one. And if suppose we wanted to do that a folder, maybe we can use without -1 file, and maybe we can be created like a folders. And for example, I'm going to do that without directly giving that PyInstaller. It will provides or generates something like a folder related structure over here, and we have the output over here, and the files will be something like uh, hello input, and this input contains the folders of information something like all the related Python extension, and all those things will be copied. For example, the base library and SSL library and everything that needed for this will be get copied over here, and it will be something like a simple hello input that it can be called over here. Yeah. this is something like it's something like a folder like structure, so that the needed files will be present over here, and whenever we are running this, these files will be used by this application over here. Yeah, I'm going to quit with the queue over here, which is something like we have that this provides a directory related structure. It's something like it provides basically we can see something like if it is a single file, all the data are dumped into that single file, and its size is around 5 MB over here. And in case of directory structure, the application is 1.3 MB, and it has the different extension, and those extensions are for example, we have the Python 36 DLL file, dynamic linking library, that is present externally. Whenever we are running this application, this DLL will be get loaded by this application over here. This is something like it provides packaging in a directory format. If suppose we wanted to create something like one single file format, that we can able to create with the option of py -one file will create and the complete everything into the one single file. If suppose we does not give any option, that will generate something like a directory with needed files like a DLL and respective modules. All those things will be copied and present in that particular directory over here. Here, this is something like we can do that for Python packaging. How can we package the Python application, and we can release like a setup to other for other person to install, that we can able to share like this. And similar way we can do it can be done in a one single file, or it can be like a directory structure over there. And apart from that, we have the different options of a Python, which contains something like a .pyc file format. For example, we have run that in our test whatever be the samples we have run inside the Python program, and we got something like a pycache is the directory over here. And in the directory, we will be seeing something like a compiled Python output file. It's something we can see that the format is pyc is the format of the file, which is something like a pyc is an pyc is an compiled Python file. What it means? Compiled Python file. Compiled Python file is the one which contains bytecode which Python interpreter compiled the source. Basically, it does not contain the source, it contains that bytecode of the Python file. For example, here we have an option. I'm going to see this in the edit Notepad+. It is something like a we can say it is a binary file. It is compiled binary file over here. This is something like whenever we run that application and run that Python program, it does not need to compile again and again, so that it reduces the load time of that particular Python file. How the process of this loading, that we will see over here. And it's whenever we provide the Python source code file, the Python bytecode or compiled binary file will be created, and it gets executed by the Python interpreter. And in order to speed up the loading of module, for example, the Python module can be cached in a compiled binary format over here. And compiled Python module is an platform independent. For example, this same location, for example, that this PYC file can be copied to any other systems like Windows or Mac or Linux. It's something like it's a platform independent, and the same library can be shared with different systems. And whenever we run that our application, it just checks our source code against the compiled version, and if it is out of date, and it does the recompilation. If it is if it is not out of date, it does not do the recompilation. Because of that, we can able to gain some faster in execution, because we are not doing the recompilation again and again. We have that already compiled binary Python file is present, so that that can be directly used by the application basically over here. Now we will see that if suppose we are importing a module, for example, we have used something like a UA automation demo, and not this, and maybe I need to use something. Maybe in the test suite we have used something like a different module we have imported. For example, unit test, which is a standard module, and we have something like a unit test one, which is present over here. For example, yeah, present in the current directory, unit test 1, test 2, and test 3, that we are loading into our test suite application. For example, we are loading 3 modules in our application, and that 3 modules will be can be created something like a compiled binary format. For example, we can see something like whichever be the things loaded as a module, that will be get created like a PyCache file, and that PyCache file will provide something like a speeding up of loading a module basically. The sequence flow will be something like this over here. Whenever we do import, for example, we are going to do the import over here. We did a import of unit test over here, that whenever we do, it just checks whether that particular .py is present or not. If that particular py is present, it goes forward and checks whether that it has the PyCache folder, and inside that any PYC file is present over there or not. And if it is there, and it will check loaded. If it does not exist and it creates a PyCache folder, for example, we will see over here how it is happening. I'm going to do something like I will delete this folder completely. The PyCache is the folder. Maybe I'm going to delete this PyCache folder over here. I just deleted over here. And now I am going to run this testsuite.py, which includes or imports 3 modules, unit test 1, 2, 3, and 3 modules get loaded. I'm going to run this one, something like testsuite1.py. Yeah, it ran 7 test cases and it's okay. Over here, it's with respect, and we can see that there is a PyCache folder is created, which we are deleted before. And once we go into this folder, we got something like a 5 module compiled Python file are created. For example, we are loading something like unit test 1, unit test 2 and unit test 3. Three modules we are loading here. Inside the unit test 1, sorry, inside the unit test 2, we are loading a find bug, another module, and we have another one, unit test 3, which loads that data frame 1, another module from over here. Basically, the 5 modules will be loaded in order to create something like a test suite .py. For example, the test suite.py is here. Yeah, it's something like unit test 1, test 2, test 3. Three modules are get loaded, and unit test 2 includes find bug, another module, and unit test 3 includes data frame 1 is another module. It's get loaded. Basically, 5 modules are get loaded when we run this test suite, and we got that 5 modules compiled Python binary file got created over here. This is something to make the speeding up of the loading process, and the flow will be something like whenever we import, it just checks whether the file is found. Yes, we have the files over here, and it reaches and checks for the PyCache. It does not, we have deleted the PyCache folder. Because of that, there is no PyCache folder is present. It goes there and it checks for PyCache is exist. It may not exist since we have deleted the PyCache folder, and since we are going to know, and it creates the PyCache and creates that compiled binary format, bytecode format of all the modules to be loaded. For example, unit test 1, unit test 2, and unit test 3. And apart from this, unit test 2 uses find bug, and unit test 3 uses data frame 1. All the modules will be created like a compiled binary Python file will be created, and it will be placed in the PyCache folder over here. Since it was loaded over here, and I'm going to, whenever we are going to import this the next time, and it comes over here and it checks for that the PyCache file is present, and then if suppose we are we deleted and it got created. Now if suppose we are running over here, this will take lesser time comparing to we are running for the first time, because the cached Python files are already created and it can be directly loaded and it can be executed. Because of that, it will take lesser time comparing with the previously with the fresh running time basically over here. Now the flow will be like this, and it will checks the PyCache file is folder is present, and it has the PYC compiled binary files of each modules are present. It will be loaded directly and it goes forward. And if suppose there is no respective Python file is found, then it will check for the matching foo dot the PYC file, and it loads that file accordingly over here. If suppose we wanted to do that something like encrypted one, we don't want to release the source code to the output, then we can create a compiled binary format, and that can be shared over here so that the source code cannot be seen by the end user, and it can be something only a compiled Python output file over here. Yes. And this provides the module loading process. It's something like whenever we load a module, the module will check whether that we are loading unit test 1, then it will check for unit test 1.py is present or not. If it is not present, and it will check for the compiled binary file is present or not. If it is not there, then it will say that the module is not present over there. And if suppose it matches, the file is present, and it checks for the cached information is present or not. If the cached information is present, then the particular file will be loaded, the compiled binary file will be loaded from the cache directory, and it speed up that execution basically over here. And apart from that, we have the PIO, which is something like we can use PYO file, which gets created when we run the Python with optimized with optimization. Basically optimization in the sense, what it will do, it's something like the optimization can be done with respect to that space utilization and the file size, and optimization in case of speeding up. That will happen something like, for example, if suppose we have the multiple blocks which are common, that will be combined and it can be created like a PYO file, so that it will be optimized in size. The output will be created accordingly over here. And yeah, now we will see about the Python debugger. How can we do the debugging with the PyCharm over here, and what are the different options? Yeah, maybe over here, maybe I'm going to do maybe we will take a simple example. Over here, yeah, maybe I'm taking a for loop, and which just skips over there, and it breaks on German and it continues on English, like that. It's a simple loop over here that we will debug. And in order to do that, I'm going to do run debug, and which is something like a for list over here. Whenever we wanted to stop debug, and we can put a breakpoint over here. For example, I put a breakpoint over here. Maybe we can do I am going to resume the program. Yeah. Without breakpoint, I just resume. For example, I'm going to run again with the debug. Yeah. Debug for list. It will not stop anywhere, and it's just continues over here. And if suppose we wanted to debug that, and maybe we can do something like we can put a breakpoint. I'm going to put a breakpoint over here once after list creation, and if there is a breakpoint, the program control reaches that particular breakpoint, then the program stops that execution over here. And if once it's stopped, we can maybe do that different analysis over here. For example, evaluate the expression, and maybe I'm going to do list, and we can get that information of what are all the contents and its length. Those information can be evaluated, and maybe there something like, if suppose we wanted to do list of 0, and debugging actions, and evaluate the expression over here. And I'm going to do list. Yeah, this basically provides that what all the variables we have defined, and we can, once the breakpoint is reached, maybe we can check for the or evaluate that particular variable, what is the content of that variable, and what is the value of that variable that can be checked in the once the program control hits the breakpoint over here. And once it is done, maybe we can use the step-by-step execution that we can do something like with the debugging action, a step over that it goes to the next line of execution over here. And the first we can once it reaches, we can check something like a lang over here. Basically, we in the list of sequence, it just fetched that first element over here. Here we are checking lang equals German. This will not be becomes true, and maybe we can do that the debugging step over that we can do again. It comes to check the else part over here, and we will see something like going to step over to next line again. Each lang is matches with the English, and it goes to continue, and something like we have continue means it stops that current iteration and it starts the next iteration. Basically, that the control should go to here after the continue execution that we will see over here. And I'm going to do again step over. Yeah, it stops the current iteration and it goes to the next iteration with the help of it going back to the control to the for loop again, and it fetches the next value from the series basically. And now I am going to run the step over again. Now the lang is physics, and it should not get connected over here, and I'm going to run it again. And for example, instead of that, maybe we can use something like a kind of, we can put a cursor here, and maybe we can run again something like a run to cursor, which makes something like a wherever the cursor is present to that line, it will get executed. And instead of putting a breakpoint, we can put something like a cursor over here and run to cursor, which means that the program control will stops at the time the program control reaches the line where the cursor is present over here. Now I am going to run debugging action, run to cursor. It's something like it reaches and it stops over here, and we does not put any breakpoint over here. But the thing is, run to cursor wherever be the line, it has the cursor, and if the program control hits that particular line, then the program stops over here, and we can evaluate that expression over here. And once it reaches, maybe we can run the step over again. It goes to for loop and gets the next sequence of next sequence of input from the list basically over here. This provides something like a complete, for example, complete debugging of a program can be done with a single step by step. And if suppose we put a breakpoint over here, and now we got something like a lang physics, and I'm going to resume the expression, resume the program with the help of over here, and it basically runs again another iteration, and it stops in the break for loop because we put a breakpoint over here. Yes. Now it reaches this, and German. Now it's time to fetch a German over here, and then it will get break over from the loop, and I'm going to check. Yeah, it got returned out of the program control since the program got terminated because of it reaches the German, and we got the output over here in the console over here. Something like physics and maths are printed, and after that the control becomes the while loop, for loop becomes exited with the break. Since it it equals the German, and it gets break from the loop and program got exited over here. For like this, we can do multiple options, something like with this kind of functionality provides a module called PDB, which is integrated into this PyCharm IDE so that we can able to debug in a flexible UI manner. The PyDB PDB is an shortest form of Python debugger, which is a standard built-in module of Python program, and it can be used for debugging over here. And PDB also provides something like a debugging environment for Python programs, and it helps to setting up the breakpoint, stepping through source code, and etc. over here. And we have the GUI option over here, but the thing is internally it does something like with the commands and keys, something like if suppose we wanted to move to the next line, we can give the key of command next, and if suppose we wanted to print the variables, we can use print or p, and if suppose we wanted to do the last entered command, we can do that repeat and list and step into the subroutine that can be done with the step, and return it's something like run until the current subroutine returns, and we can give the option like continue, which continues the execution normally over here. And we have the option to quit the PDB abruptly with the help of quit command, and we can set the breakpoint with the help of break command over here. And basically we have done we can able to do that the debug after that if suppose we wanted to terminate the session, and we can do that with the help of for example, we wanted to stop the termination over here, that we can do with the help of over here a stop for list, so that the program will be program execution will be terminated over here. Yeah, this provides some kind of debugging and of the Python program with the help of PyCharm IDE over here. Maybe we will do similar way. We can do another program for testing. Maybe we can have something like I have it. Yeah, maybe we can use this Excel demo over here, how that the flow goes over here, that we can able to test. I'm going to put a breakpoint over here, and I'm going to run Excel demo. I'm going to debug Excel demo. Yeah, it reaches that the command breakpoints will not be active in case if we do the run option over here. Suppose we do run Excel demo 3, even though we set a breakpoint, that breakpoint will not be comes into the picture over here. and I'm going to debug the control stops over here, and maybe I'm going to do something like a step over the next location, and once it reaches, it has the options over here. Maybe we can do that start sheet, and maybe I'm going to do step over, and it has the function, and function will not be executed unless that function is called over here. Now we will see how the control goes, and I'm going to have a step over. It goes to the next function. It does not go into the function. We have not called that function over here. Because of that, it does not get into that function over during the debugging. And whenever we do the next step over, it goes to that next function starting point, and it move forward over here. Yeah, it reaches over here without going into that function, and it got output. And maybe now I'm going to run the step over here, which basically loads that complete uh, uh, sample XLS file into the workbook WB, and we get the sheet names over here. And once we get the sheet names, and I'm going to do, yeah, and then we can see the, whenever we put a cursor over here, we will get the respective outputs, something like it has one length and one sheet. It's a sheet one is the one it contains. And then I'm going to execute that the step over here, and here we got the something like get sheet by name is the function of Python function which we are calling here. uh, get sheet by name, that we wanted to get the name over here, that we call it from here. And I'm going to run on the step over, and it prints the current sheet title. For example, we can see there is a worksheet, and if we expand this, and it provides some kind of a very detailed information about the sheet, and it has something like a name title over here. Title is sheet one, and the something like in how many number of cells, the selected cells of that over here, and what is the sheet style, the path, and every complete information will be available over here, and which can be taken with the help of evaluate that particular expression. And we can do the run again, running with the step over, it's to the next line, and I'm going to do something like step over again. And we have the this Python module uh, function. This function we wanted to debug, then maybe we can get into this function with the help of step into. Step into will makes that step over is something like executes the current line and it goes to the next line, and step into is the one which executes the current line in case if it is a single line of single line of uh, uh, Python command. It will get executed if suppose it has the function over here similar to here. This is a function which is get column by name is the function which we are calling over here. And if suppose we do something like debugging option step into, which means that we can go into that the program control, we can go into that pro function, and we can debug into the function. Basically that is the option to debug, go into the function and check. That is the one is called step into, is the option over there. Yeah, yeah. like that, if suppose we wanted to do something like for example, this is a for loop. Whenever we do step into it, uh, it will go into that something like we have the demo. It's something like sheet dot iterative columns. It goes to that worksheet and gets that particular output over here, and I'm going to do something like um, step into again, and which goes to the next line. Since it is a single instruction of Python instruction, it goes to the next line over here. And similar way we can do something like F8 is for step over and F7 is for a step into. I'm going to press F7 for step into over here. It goes to the next line. If it is a simple Python line, a single Python line, it will not, it will be the step into and step over or same. And if it is a function, it goes, the step into takes the program control into that function basically over here. And yeah, this basically gets that the current column value over here, and it moves over here that we have the column which equals name. Then the name, whichever whatever be the value we have passed, name is the segment. If it matches, then it will return the column over here. And I'm going to check this. It column of 0 is matches with the in the tuple, we have the column of 0, which is a segment which matches with the name, and if the program returns that column or the complete tuple return back to that over here. And it received over here, and I'm going to do the step over, and it goes to that control. Column is not none, and we have got the segment set over here, and we got that output something like out equals the column 0 will be cut. For example, the 0 is the segment, it got cut, and the rest of the tuple content is present on the output, and we are adding that into the segment over here in the for loop. If suppose we wanted to add, it will be like completely fetching each and everything, and it returns back accordingly over here. And once uh, once all the all the entries have taken, it the loop will be yeah, get the loop will be terminate completed over here. And for example, I am put a cursor over here, and I'm going to do something like debugging run to cursor, which reaches that the program control to that point. And we can similar way we can do the debugging one by one, and we can get the if suppose any errors in between, that will be get detected accordingly over here. Yes. Yeah, this provides something like the information about how can we do the debugging of Python program with the help of uh, PyCharm with the Python debugger over here. Yes. Yeah. Uh, with this, we are going to winding up our session over here. And please feel free to ping me in case of any doubts you have. Yeah, thank you. Before closing, I just wanted to give a brief about, sorry, yes. attendance link. Before winding up the session, I just wanted to give a brief uh, overview about us. Uh, Basically, we are an smart IoT solution developers using various wireless interfaces like LoRa, long range wireless, and Bluetooth low energy, and using a um, 4G and 4G technologies and LTE technologies and narrowband IoT technologies and based on different wireless technologies, including something like a Zigbee and Z-Wave and ANT and Thread, kind of a different wireless technologies. We will be dealing with that, and we also do something like, apart from smart IoT solutions, we are also providing sorry. Hello. Hello. Yeah, maybe I will mute. Yeah. Uh, Apart from that smart IoT solution, we also provide something like a corporate and online and classroom trainings for working professionals and on various domains, something like embedded firmware, IoT, Internet of Technologies, embedded artificial intelligence, embedded deep learning, kind of latest technologies, or uh, for various industries, including that um, uh, embedded IoT solutions, basically. That includes something like different kind of IoT solutions, something we have with different cloud connectivity, for example, Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure and thing, uh, LoRaWAN server, all those things, the server connectivity, all the informations we have providing the trainings for working professional. And thank you for attending this session, and looking forward to have session in future. Yes. Thank you.